Hello, class. This is Group 6's project on the top 10 biggest comebacks in sports. Our overview states the project covers the top 10 biggest comebacks in sports history across various sports and eras. Our group chose these top 10 comebacks based on which ones we believe had the biggest impact on the sports industry. Here are the comebacks. Number 10 is Derrick Rose's 50-point comeback. Derrick Rose was drafted into the Bulls back in 2018. He played for a good 3 years before suffering a torn meniscus and ACL. Rose would be off-season and constantly traded before landing with the Timberwolves in 2018. During his first game back on the court, Rose scored 50 points against the Jazz. Anyone who watched sports in this era would know that Rose had the short end of the stick and to finally be able to perform 10 years later. This had a major impact on history. Number 9, we have the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals were a wild card pick for the 2011 World Series event, the Major League Baseball. They were able to defeat the Phillies and the Brewers and made it to the finals with the Texas Rangers. They tied the series all the way to Game 7. The Cardinals were able to pull off the win with Game 7 6-2. They were the underdogs of the whole season and held it together to win the series. Number 8, we have Tiger Woods' 2019 Masters. Growing up, we all knew about Tiger Woods being the top golfer from the 90s to the early 2000s. We also know the problems he had to face during these times, from his wife cheating on him, resulting in a divorce, catching DUIs, and the car crashes. The man was being lost in his sorrow, and we all had to watch that downfall happen. But in 2019, Woods was able to bring home the championship in the golfing Masters. This was a major comeback for the viewers because they didn't know if Woods would ever come back to the game. For him to win the championship and bring home that trophy was a relief for a lot of us. Ray Allen, three-pointer 2013 championship. This is number 7. In the final moments of Game 6 between the Spurs and Heat, the Spurs led the series 3-2. With only seconds left in Game 6, Ray Allen scored an important three-point shot, which led to the Heat to go into overtime and take the game to Game 7. The Heat won and brought home the championship trophy. Ray Allen was known for his three-point shots back in the Celtics, and he showed what he was about in that game and secured the win for his teammates. Number 6, we have the 2016 Chicago Cubs World Series. The Chicago Cubs were known for the 108-year loss streak of never winning the World Series. In 2016, that all changed. The Cubs were down 3-1 in games against the Indians. They ended up winning the next 3 games and securing the win for their city. This game broke the 108-year drought that the team had experienced. I could only imagine how the Chicago people felt with their team finally winning. Number 5, we have the 2016 Warriors versus Cavaliers championship. This championship was super intense due to the Cavaliers losing to this team in the 2015 finals. The Cavaliers were down 3-1. When all hope was lost, the team brought back the 3 games and ended up winning the championship. It was a great victory for Cleveland because they had just returned back to their turf after leaving for the Heat. This was a comeback from losing to the same team last year. Number 4, my personal favorite, we have the 2017 Super Bowl Patriots versus Falcons. In this Super Bowl, it was the Patriots versus the Falcons. The Patriots were down by 19 points leading into the fourth quarter of the game. Tom Brady decided it was time to kick the gear into 5th. So he ended up scoring 19 points in the fourth quarter, bringing the game into overtime and winning the championship. He ended up throwing 466 yards this game, which in itself was a crazy feat to do, securing the win for New England and reigning top in the NFL. Number 3, we have the Buffalo Bills 1993 wildcard game. The Bills were playing against the Oilers in the 1993 wildcard game. The Bills were down 35-3 in the third quarter of the game. The Bills quarterback, Jim Kelly, decided to step out of the game. Quarterback Frank Rekich substituted and executed the colossal comeback. The Bills ended up scoring 28 points in the third and fourth quarter and kicked a field goal to win the game, resulting in the biggest comeback the NFL has ever seen. Number 2, we have the 1982 NHL Stanley Cup Series. This series was between the Los Angeles Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. The Kings were down 5 scores in Game 5 of the series. Only in the third period of the game, the Kings were able to bring the score to 5-5, push the game into overtime, and ultimately win this series. This victory was dubbed as the Miracle on Manchester and would go on to become the biggest comeback in National Hockey League has ever seen to this day. Number 1, we have the Boston Red Sox, the ALCS 2004. These sets of games were the biggest of games anyone had ever seen. The Red Sox went against the Yankees, their biggest enemy and rival of the baseball teams. These two teams had a huge history with one another. The Yankees ended up taking Alex Rodriguez, who was the best baseball player at the time, from the Red Sox. The Red Sox ended up beating the Yankees in a 4-0 lead, which led them to the World Series, which they also won. This match wasn't just about the game itself. It was more about the sentiment of the fans and what these teams had to prove to them. They were the best out of the two. Real quick is an overview of our works cited. Leave that on here for a couple seconds. And that is it. This is Group 6's project on the top 10 biggest comebacks in sports.